Hello, and welcome to the Melanated Veteran Podcast. I'm your host, Miss Mesha, and as always, make sure that you first share, like, and subscribe to the Melanated Veteran on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We're on almost all major platforms: iTunes, Google Play, iHeart, Stitcher, and many more. Don't forget to check out our website at www.themelanatedveteran.com. So my guest today was recommended from someone who I've known for years. And when they recommended this lady, I looked at the website, and I was like, I have to have this woman on here. I'm excited about this, so y'all get to hear about her brand and everything that she's doing. Please welcome Arttina Ngoma.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm honored to be on your podcast, and I thank Cecil even for recommending me, sweetheart.
Yes, me and him go way, way back. So, and when he recommended someone, I know they're the real deal. So, so again, like I said, I started checking all your stuff out. So I was like, oh, it's so pretty. So, so let's begin. So,
Okay.
what branch were you in, and how long were you in?
I was in the Navy, and I did approximately maybe 7.5 years. Yeah.
Okay. What was your job in the Navy?
I was a yeoman, like
Yeah.
a secretary, equivalent to a secretary.
Okay. See, I was in AZ, so I get that. We paper pushers, so I definitely get that.
Yeah.
So, what made you decide to go to the Navy?
I think when I look back, I think at that time I was probably looking to get away from home. And then looking, I guess, for something that provided stability at that time. And, like most of the time when you move somewhere, you got to have the funds, to move and to maintain. And then I think that was just a way to kind of get away. And then I didn't have to pay for where I was going, so it provided a roof over my head. So I think when I look back, I was looking for just a way to get away, and I think that provided an outcome that, and it was free.
Right. I get it. So what was your first thought when you went into boot camp?
I remember thinking, dang, I don't really follow the rules, so I don't know what you were thinking, Arttina. I think when I first got there, we got there late at night, so everybody was sleeping, and so I probably was just tired and I was irritated. But it was kind of like, what the hell did I just do? And then I'm having like so much freedom to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And so it was really like a big adjustment to not have those freedoms and just kind of comply. So I probably struggled.
Right.
I struggled a little bit, but it was a big adjustment from having the luxury to do whatever it is I wanted to do, and now not have those luxuries. Still having them, but not having it as I can do what I want to do and say what I want to say.
Gotcha.
I'm so used to doing that, so it was a big adjustment.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is very, very big adjustment.
Right.
So you get out of boot camp and you go to your duty station. Tell us a little bit about some of the highs and lows of your military career.
My first duty station that I went to, I already knew I was going there because they sponsored us in boot camp. So I already knew I was going to BP-30. That was my first command. At that time, I was undesignated. I came in as an undesignated airman, ended up striking yeoman. And so for me, I guess when I don't know people, I'm very quiet. And that's the complete opposite of what I actually am. So I think for the first year, I was really just trying to figure out what the hell was going on and find ways to like get out of going to the flight deck. I mean, to the line chat, just trying to find ways to get out of doing what everybody else was doing and kind of get to where I wanted to go. So I kind of was just like a manipulator. I kind of used my looks to get to where I wanted to go, if I'm being honest. But I would say the highs was I met some amazing people that I probably would never meet. And I would say that some of those people are closer than family. And then I would say the lows for me at my first duty station is even though I didn't have family, it made me more painfully aware at times that I didn't have those things. I guess during like Thanksgiving break, you know, when everybody would go home. Sometimes I would stay in the barracks or I would go with one of my friends home. And so I feel like during those times I might have struggled with depression, but that wasn't something that I guess I felt like we were allowed to be. We just kind of had to put the job first and kind of like self-abandon and then find some way to get back, circle back. And so I never circled back to myself. So I've always had to self-abandon, I guess. I felt like for the job, for the betterment of it. I think if I ever came out and said I struggled with depression, I wouldn't say that it was frowned upon, but it's kind of like you already knew what you signed up for before you even came here. It was more like that, and so it's just something that I probably hid, and not a lot of people knew. Probably now people know, but when I was in, nobody knew what I was struggling or what I was facing. I faced a lot of battles alone, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense. You know, with the military, it's a lot of times it's the mission first, and so you do a lot of times have to hold your emotions in. So I definitely understand because there are times where it's like, well, who can I really talk to? I don't want to show any emotions, but you know,
I don't want to be vulnerable. Like, who do I trust?
Right.
That was, I think, another low for me is that who can you trust? Who can you be vulnerable with without them looking at you as weak? And I guess kind of having some type of confidentiality. I don't really think that was there, if that made sense. And so who can I go to and say, hey, I'm struggling, and not feel bad, not make me feel bad, and say that they understand, but truly understand, and then what does help look like? And so I didn't have anybody where I felt like I can go and be safe and be honest. Although you have a chain of command, they want you to do those things. But I saw how other people was treated, and I was just like, I'm going to keep it to myself.
Right. And a lot of us do that. So I can definitely sympathize with that. Trust is a big thing for me as well. Because it was like, well, if I'm telling someone something, how do I know that it's not going to get back to other people, or people, like you said, people are going to look at me differently, like, oh, kid gloves and different things like that. So I definitely get that. For me, like the camaraderie, that was something that helped me, was knowing that the camaraderie was different. I don't think many people understand, like, when with being in the military, there's just something about a bond with a few of us.
I would say, like, even within those bonds, still have moments of vulnerability, if that makes sense. But also, when I look back on it, everybody joins the military for their own reasons, you know? And sometimes you don't share those reasons. And so, to be honest, we don't even really ask, why did you join? You know, we're here. And so when I look back on the things that I probably thought privately that I didn't share, and now that I'm a little bit more vocal about, what I've been through, the same people that were my friends, we were going through the same thing. We just never shared. And I'm like, dang, why didn't I feel comfortable sharing?
Right.
We shared everything else. You know what I mean? So why wasn't I vulnerable? And why, I asked myself, like, why didn't they feel comfortable coming to me as well? And pretty much for the same reasons. We all joined for different reasons, and most people, when they join, they create a whole different identity of who they were. As well.
You have a lot of times, you have some of us, like, you have to. So, I definitely understand. I understand so much. So I get it.
Right.
So you get out of the military. What advice would you give someone who's about to, or who's looking at getting out of the military or transitioning?
It's funny, I had this talk with my friend, and I think sometimes when we join, we forget the why we joined. And it's easy to just join, and you get caught up in, I guess, military life, You get caught up in the first and the 15 is your check. You kind of forget that you do have the Montgomery GI Bill for school, if that's your reason for joining for school. But we don't take those opportunities while we're in. And if I can go back, I will probably use the military as much as I can, because they're going to use you. So if you're there for school and the military is providing TA, then I feel like you should take every opportunity to do that. If they are having all those NKO courses and they're free, I will go ahead right now and start knocking those out, because those translate over to college credits when you get out. When I got out the military, I already had an associate just by doing NKO courses,
Oh, wow.
I would say make sure that you handle your medical record. Whatever it is that happened, I don't care if you fell and you busted your knee. You need to make sure that that's documented in your medical record. Make sure that you have your evaluations. You should have your hard copies of that and your awards. You really need to have your finances in order. The world has completely changed. Everybody is a veteran. I don't know if they really are, if they aren't. But everybody claims to be a veteran. And sometimes your job in the military does not always translate over into the civilian world. And so make sure that you are at least volunteering in the area that you plan on having, if it's not a career. But I would say more than anything, make sure that you have your finances in order. That's the biggest thing. And have your plan A, your plan B. What does that look like? A lot of people don't have realistic goals and expectations. And although the VA is there, it's there, but I don't know if it's always there the way that it seems that they put out like that. And so you really have to do your own research. You really have to advocate for yourself more than anything. And I think that is a thing that people struggle with, is that they're so used to being told something and taking that as face value. And when you're out, those same luxuries that you had before, as far as medical, if you just got out, then you're responsible for having your own medical. There's a lot of liberties that you lose, but the benefits of getting out, if that outweighs it, then go for it. But be real. Have real expectations and know what it is that you are really getting into and what it is that you honestly want.
Those are some gems right there. I hope people are listening, because have a plan, and do your research. You got to do your own research. Don't depend on someone to do it for you. So
absolutely, might have happened for them, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen for you. So
Right. So now let's talk about your business,
Okay.
your brand, especially, that was, to me, like, that seems like that was your plan once you got out. So tell us how Malawi Headwraps came
Uh-huh.
about.
Came about. So I was already out of the military for a few years before
Mm,
I even started Malawi Headwraps. Malawi Headwraps was not my idea. It was something that I've worn, but it wasn't my idea. It was my sister's.
mm,
Um, I got divorced, and I was a stay-at-home mom. I already had my master's, and I was thinking about going to school, pursuing my doctorate. I have it now, but during that time, I did not. Well, I had courses. I wasn't finished.
mm,
And so my sister was like, I think this is a good idea for you to finally have something for yourself. And I feel like sometimes a lot of people maybe can relate to this, is that we're always helping somebody else. We're always doing for somebody else. And we will work ourselves to the bone for somebody else's dreams, right? Because
mm,
the payoff is a paycheck, whatever it is for you. But when you guys fall out, or there's a difference in where the business is going, you ultimately, that's their business, it's not yours. So you can be
mm,
terminated at any time. And that would happen to me so many times, that I would help people get to where they are, and when it didn't work out, they were fine and I wasn't.
mm,
And so that's where Malawi Headwraps was birthed out, is having something for myself that nobody can take away. If I'm working for somebody hard as I was, I can go even harder for myself. And so my
mm,
sister was like, I think it's a good idea for you to do head wraps. She brought the fabric, and I'm looking at my personality like, I mean, I like people, but I don't like people. I enjoy my alone time. I'm an introvert. How is that going to translate over as far as my personality? And sometimes I can be very passive. But also, I
mm,
learned in business, my personality and how I operate and do things. I would probably not make any money because I would give it all away.
mm,
And so I had to learn boundaries. I didn't have like a mentor. I didn't have anybody like showing me what to do. I literally got on YouTube. YouTube has
mm,
so much information, so many how-tos. People go on blog and tell a whole bunch of things. So I learned how to market myself.
mm,
Um, I found ways that how can I set myself apart from somebody else. The field is saturated. There's head wraps, there's fabrics out there. How can I set myself apart from somebody else? And my thing
mm,
was, if I have a head wrap and if I tie it in a bow, I want the biggest bow. You know what I
mm,
mean? One thing is that most of my models are not models. They're people that I probably found in Walmart or I ran into, and I thought they were attractive.
mm,
They might not have felt that way about themselves. And so I, in return, would pay and kind of like do a makeover and try to have them see themselves the way that I see them, if that
mm,
makes sense. And then I would do the photo shoot, and it would kind of translate over. And a lot of people would ask me, like, I see your pictures and you're so confident. And maybe during those times I wasn't confident because I didn't really know what the hell I was doing, but I didn't
mm,
let anybody know that. I kind of just learned as I went along. And sometimes you have
mm,
to do that in business. You have to
mm,
step out in faith. If you don't try, you'll never know if you'll succeed. And so that's kind of what I did. Took it day by day,
mm,
struggle by struggle, face things when they happen. And what I've learned in business is that when something happens, you have to nip it in the butt ASAP. Don't let it fester.
mm,
Address it head on. Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. People will come to you and tell you what they like and they don't like. And so if they're allowed to do that, then you should be allowed to too. And
mm.
so that's how Malawi Headwraps was birthed. I won't say through pain because I won't give that attention, but I'll just say, my sister saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at that time.
That, ooh, that was a lot. That, I mean, the fact, and a lot of the times that's what happens. People will see things in us that we don't see, and then later on it's like, well, you know what, I do see where they were coming from, talking, about me. And the fact that you learned on your own, you went on YouTube, like, you found the resources.
Right.
It's amazing. I was telling, before we started this, I ended up buying 2 hair wraps because they were just so beautiful. And looking through, like, I would have just thought, oh, she just has, hair wraps. It was like, no, you got jewelry, eyewear, purses, and everything is just beautiful.
Right. I think I started off in head wraps because that was my passion.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone was like, it might have been shade, but I'm one of those people where if it's true, it's true. It was like, she only does head wraps. And I'm like, you're right. I only do head wraps, and I do a really good job. But however, since you said that, let me expand. And so I try to find different ways to put myself out there, if that makes sense. And so if someone says something in business, and although it might be shade, if it's true, take it. If you feel some way about it, then do something about it. Instead of responding in words and going back and forth, let your actions speak. You know what I mean? So if it's true, okay, but what is it that you want to do? And make sure that you're doing it because you genuinely want to do it, and not to compete with somebody else, because I don't compete with anybody. I stay in my own lane. I know my strengths. I know my weakness, and I just want to be better than Arttina. And so I will say that when you are in business and you are evolving, people are going to have something to say, good, bad, or indifferent. And I go back and I talk to myself. I tell people that sometimes you have to talk to yourself in order to self-soothe. Nobody knows what you're going through sometimes but you and Jesus. So I tell myself a lot that, my identity is not in how many likes I have. There's people with 10s and 20,000 followers on IG. And you have to realize that those are people highlight reels. They show you what they want to show you. You don't know if they bought followers or not. So you can't get caught up in what somebody else is doing and what you're not doing. And I always say, it's something my grandma said, that your good fruit will always outshine negative talk. So it don't matter what anybody says. If you know that you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're walking in your purpose and you're authentically you, then the customer base will come. You just have to be consistent and show up. A lot of people are just looking for consistency because a lot of people already know who you are. You know what I mean? They know who you are. They know where you've been. And they're just wanting to see sometimes if you're even serious. Do you even take yourself seriously? That was one thing. The next thing is having a standard. In business, people are going to say whatever. And I've learned to take the Beyonce approach. I don't address anything. I let people think what they want to think. Just like OJ, he was innocent. Everybody says he did it. So it don't matter if we're vindicated on the news. People are going to think whatever it is that they want to think. So you have to go back and ask yourself, is this heaven or hell serious? If I went ahead and explained whatever the situation is to somebody, is it gossip? Are they really trying to understand? So I have to ask myself, am I meeting wound to wound or heart to heart? If it's wound to wound, I'm not even going to entertain it. I'm going to keep it moving. So that's one thing that you can learn from Beyonce. People don't like her, but you don't address anything. You don't give it any attention. Who cares? And there's something else that's always trending. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense. Because like you said, people are going to think whatever, even if you say, you speak up about it, people are going to probably still say, well, no, that's not right. Or, they're going to have some kind of an opinion, and, their opinion is their opinion. So I definitely get it. You got a lot, like the gems were just coming, and I hope people listen to this, because I'm telling you, that's the truth.
Right.
And you gotta be like that. And when you're talking about the people who've got a lot of different followers and stuff,
Right.
It's a lot about, to me, it's quality over quantity. And like you said, people buy buy followers just because, it it doesn't matter how many followers that you have. If you're having a product that's good, that's what's going to bring people. That's the hook that's going to bring people.
Right. They're going to come, and if your product is good, then your customers are going to do the promotion for you. They're going to go tell people. It's nothing like having a grand social media, but you don't have any sales. And you're literally sitting on money. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I can't. So I tell people that you can't compare, because you don't know what that person's been through, the cost that it paid for them to get to where they are. And sometimes I don't want that. Also, I would say even when people are sharing their dreams or aspirations that they have, and as I'm listening, at that moment, it's like, okay, I want those things too, And so then I'll kind of try to, I guess, obtain it in the way that they did. And then I have to go back and be honest and say, okay, Arttina, you really don't want a storefront, because you're going to have to talk to people every day. You know that? You're going to have to show up. So there's certain things that people have that's good for them. And that's no shade to you if that is truly not your heart desire. Right. So you can listen to people's dreams and cheer them on and realize that, hey, I'm happy for you, but that's not what I want. And stand in that, and don't let anybody tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing. People will tell you what they feel like you should be doing in business, but you're the one that reaps the consequences of it. So be mindful of what people say, and what advice you're getting, and who's around you, and who you're surrounding yourself with. That's the next thing in business. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room anymore. I used to want to be the smartest person in the circle, or the strongest person in the circle. I don't want to be those things anymore. I want to be around people that are like-minded. I don't want to get around somebody that's stagnant. I become stagnant. Those things are the company you keep will make or break you. I've learned that during my seasons of stagnant, and have to reevaluate what I'm doing in life, because life affects business. The way you show up in your life is the same way that you operate in business. So if your business is a mess, then most likely your life is a mess, unless you have a team that's paying to sustain it. But small businesses, you don't have that luxury. So
gems. I especially love that you're talking about stagnant. I love that the fact that the company that you keep, you don't want, if you're around people who are stagnant, you're going to be, a lot of times you'll be stagnant.
Right.
People who they're comfortable being in a certain place. Sometimes though you might feel the same way, and it's like, wait a minute, no. I need to move up. I need to do something else. We got some gems. I love this. So before we wrap everything up, can you let everybody know where they can find you?
Okay, so my Facebook is Malawi Headwraps. Just Malawi, just like the country, and then Headwraps. My IG handle is Malawi_Headwraps. And then my website is just MalawiHeadwraps.com. Currently, I'm having a sale. All waist tees are $10. All head wraps are $10. You spend over $50, you get free shipping. I also have Shop Pay. You spend over $50, you can break it up into 4 payments. And so that's where you can find me at.
Yay. So again, I want to thank you so much, Arttina, for coming on. And this will not be the last time that I'll have you on. Just so you know. Be ready. Be ready.
Talk about forever. I'll go there. I try to be like super transparent as much as possible. I know who I am. I know what I've been through, and my identity isn't found in anybody else but God. So I try to just be authentically Arttina.
Amen, amen. Well, you can find me at The Melanated Veteran on Facebook and Instagram. Again, don't forget to check out my website, www.themelanatedveteran.com. I'm your host, Miss Mesha, signing off, saying embrace what makes you, you.